Good evening, everybody. My friends, I'm glad you're here. I am Dorothy Burton, your host for Truth Behind the News, and I'm feeling a little bit puny tonight. I think it's a sinus infection. I'm not sure. I slept half the day after being woken up early this morning by my phone being blown up by text messages about this Colin Allred thing. And let me say hello to my friends. Let's see who's here with me. Hey, Susie, I'm so glad to see you. Y'all, I got this new member thing going on. Look, let me tell y'all what this. Y'all may see this, and I thank y'all for some of y'all for joining. Let me tell y'all this. I got an email from YouTube welcoming me to the partner program. And that's not a real easy level to get to. You got to have like 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 some hours, listen hours. And so you get to pick all these perks, right? Hey, Renee. Hey, Sheila. So y'all, I did it. I did, my channel now is like a lot of other channels. We have memberships. You get, perks. Most of it is personal time with me, and the Insiders is my membership group name. Y'all, I'm so new to that, and it's where YouTubers try to get to be and get all excited about it. I don't know what to do with it yet. So it's out there, and if y'all click the members, and it's like I think $3.99 a month or something like that, we will get to that, and you will be hearing from me when I figure out what it is. When I figure it all out. Okay, I'm very thankful and I'm very excited about that. A lot of hard work, and I thank God for it. Now, what I wanted to talk about, what I said I was going to talk about, was the dead heat, and let me put as my friend. My friend Susie, I love you to death. Susie been with me since the beginning, y'all, since I didn't even know what I was doing, and I'm so grateful. I'm thankful for y'all. Y'all know that. Okay, y'all. So let me tell you what we're gonna do. I got the sinus thing, infection thing going on. I'm sick to my stomach. I have a headache and all that kind of stuff. But I was not going to do this because I'm so disturbed by what this whole thing means. Now, if y'all have been looking at me for any amount of time, you know that I don't get into the politics of the politics. Y'all know that I'm here for one reason, and that's one reason only, is to educate people, to try and give people a non-political, but what's the word? I'm telling you, I got this sinus infection, so my head is not clear. But to give people an honest assessment of what's going on and what we're seeing, particularly in this race with Talarico and Jasmine Crockett. Y'all know, I guess it's been, a couple of months ago or so when I first started talking about this, and y'all can go on my YouTube channel. But if you go to some of my shorts, if you go to my most recent videos where I'm talking about this race, I have said the same thing over and over and over again, and I'm going to say it tonight. This race is for the Democrats to lose. This race is for the Democrats to lose. Now, let me stay true to what I said I was going to talk about, and I'm going to mention that, and then I'm going to go on and talk about this Talarico Colin Allred thing, because I just think it was atrocious. I think it was atrocious, and I'm going to tell you why I think it's atrocious, and why it's damaging to the Democrats, and why it's playing out like I told y'all it was going to play out. Because I've been at this a long time. And I told you, the only way for Democrats to lose this race is for Democrats to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. If anything should have given Democrats hope and validation, was this race this past Tuesday, where what's his name, Taylor Ramett flipped that seat that went for Trump. That seat that had been a Republican seat since 1983, and I think he won that seat by 17 points. This race right here this Talarico and Jasmine Crockett's race. This race is going to boil down to how badly do the Democrats want to win this race. Because the Republicans can't beat the Democrats are going to beat themselves. And that has been the tradition in Texas for a long time. And with this race, it has a lot of nuances to it, and nobody should be surprised that it has boiled down to race. We've said that all along. And I'm going to give you my opinion, and I want to hear from y'all as to what I believe is going on here. And let me start. Let me start with y'all get your popcorn ready and all that, because I'm going to show you some clips, and the clips that I'm going to show you will make the picture crystal clear what I'm trying to paint for you here, because this does not bode well at all for the Democrats, not at all. And it was disappointing to see, once I did clear my mind and listen to and watch the video from Colin Allred, that was very disappointing. And I believe that Colin Allred did himself much damage in his race against Julie Johnson. And I believe that he did a lot of damage to himself. And he also revealed something that is not new to people. It shouldn't be new to people. But he also revealed the jealousy, and Black people in Texas. I'm gonna tell you. I'm just gonna tell you. Yeah, Blacks are the largest population anywhere. Texas has the largest Black population of anywhere. Y'all, we've heard this before, than anywhere in America. But Black people in Texas also don't vote, especially young Black people. They don't vote. They just don't. And there are a lot of moving parts with this race, and I'm going to try to bring the moving parts together to paint you the picture that I see, and where I see the danger is for Democrats. Let's start with, and like I said, we're going to look at a number of clips. The woman that started this, Morgan Thompson, y'all know the stories, had this conversation with Talarico, and Talarico, she said, told her that he signed up to run against a formidable Black woman and not, a mediocre Black man. He denies that. Apparently, Miss Morgan has had a lot of pushback and a lot of, understandably, hate mail, emails, and all this kind of stuff. So I want you to hear from her, not the clip that everybody is playing as to what she said, Talarico said. I'm going to play for you a clip from her afterwards saying why she did what she did and what has happened to her since. So let's start with Maureen. Then I got some surprising news that surprised me, which does not bode well for Councilwoman Crockett, and I'm going to talk about that too. But right now, let's listen to Miss Morgan.
People coming at my neck for this Talarico situation, me sharing the comment he made to me in a one-on-one conversation. People not believing me does not bother me. I expected it. Everybody's going to want a recording of the conversation, or they're not going to believe me at all, okay? I sat in a courtroom with a man that raped me, and his lawyer convinced the judge that did not happen simply off the fact that he's a Christian man with a family. You think I'm new to this? I'm not pressed about y'all not believing me, okay? If anything, I welcome skepticism, because that means that you all are critically engaging with the information being presented to you. I think that is valid, and I support people that do that. But let me tell you something. You also got to temper that with the unconscious biases that you are approaching this information with. because a lot of the stuff I'm getting is racially charged and is focusing on me as a person that's bringing it forward instead of trying to interrogate the fact that this man said it to me in the first place. This is one of those situations where you can either choose to believe me or not. Just add the essay situation to this, because yes, it is a matter of he said, she said at this point. But I'm hoping that my reputation and my credibility speaks for itself right now, because I'm putting it at risk by even coming forward to say this to begin with. Have y'all thought about the fact that I am one singular Black woman that's against a campaign that has millions of dollars and is working with some big ass consultants and agencies? And I'm one singular person that shared my experience on this app. And you think that doesn't come with some level of intimidation? I'd be stupid not to think twice before sharing something like this. So to be clear, the thing that's bothering me is not people thinking I'm lying. I expected that. It's people coming for me that think that I'm telling the truth, but are interrogating me coming forward to share it in the first place. There are some biases you need to unpack as to why that is what you were focusing on instead of what he said. Because I need you all to consider, as someone that was so enthusiastically supporting him before recently, think about the emotional experience of having to not only hear that comment, but have to come forward and put myself at risk to share it. I'm disappointed. Okay? I'm disappointed. I need you all to understand that. And I'm not disappointed because I expect white people not to mess up. I'm not disappointed because I'm surprised necessarily that this even happened. I'm disappointed because of the choices he chose to make that made me feel I had to sit and make this decision to put my own credibility at risk in order to share this, because I felt it was that important. And I felt it was that important because of the decisions he's been making in this campaign and how it's been impacting not only Jasmine Crockett and making this race not fair, because again, I'm seeing information in decisions and things like that in the background that the normal people online are not seeing. So when I'm sharing this stuff with y'all, it is because it is that serious. I do not take confidentiality lightly. I do not take sharing conversations like this lightly. I sat with this for weeks. And I had no intention of even sharing it publicly. I was going to, which is why I shared my endorsement video about Jasmine, because that was authentic. That was the output of me having heard this comment from James. And that is what matters. The decision that came out of it. That is why I didn't say anything, why I didn't intend to, because I was going to encourage people to do the thing that I chose to do coming out of my conversation with him, because that is less messy. That keeps this more streamlined and focused on the actual candidates and their policies. That doesn't muddy the water. It just tells you what I intend to do, because I am so focused on making this race about the people that actually fucking matter, and that is Texans. Okay? I didn't want it to be messy. He was the one that chose to do so. I do a lot on my page to make sure that people understand how to spot misinformation. I spend a lot of time correcting misinformation. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and pin the video I made correcting misinformation about James when it came to Miriam Adelson. So this is my thing, right? I knew people were going to accuse me of lying. I knew people were going to say that I was just making this up and that I was a part of a smear campaign, which I personally find offensive, even though I can understand how you might think that, because if you don't understand how something works, it all just becomes conspiracy. I do understand that. But when I tell you the only thing I do not have is a literal recording of him saying it, that I mean that shit. And as someone that is not participating in a smear campaign, wouldn't it be kind of suspicious if I did have a recording of it? Wouldn't that mean that I was going into that conversation with the assumption that he was going to say something messed up and I intended to share it? The conversation was good before he made that comment. Y'all wouldn't even know about the fact that the conversation even happened if he hadn't made that comment. Because the whole point of the whole thing was I was trying to advocate for Black people. And when I see that he starts to do stuff externally that is impacting Black people, I'm not okay with it. Okay? And when I have this information that is really pertinent when it comes to responding and understanding what he's doing publicly, I'm going to share it. I do not do it lightly. I need you all to understand how much stuff I be sitting on. And I don't share it because I take people's trust in me seriously. So this is a hard thing for me to even sit with right now. But I don't like people coming for my credibility like this when it comes to me coming forward to say it at all. I was down with Talarico since he announced his campaign. I really liked him. I've made many videos about it. You can go and look at it. In fact, I'll make a playlist so you can see the enthusiasm I had around Talarico. Even when it was introduced, the introduction of Jasmine joining the race, I was torn. I made several videos talking about how I was very, very much torn about the fact that they were both going to be in the same race and how I was undecided. This is going to come down to whether you are willing to believe me or not. And that is not my job to convince you to do that at this point. Don't come for me. Okay? You can sit and decide what you want to do with the information I present, but I guarantee you, and I can promise you with full 100% certainty that this happened. As far as my Instagram and Threads account, I work in PR. I've said it millions of times, okay? I know that you have connections directly to Meta when you are a high profile individual. James Talarico is a high profile individual. And when you have access to that, you can do things like shut down content or accounts that are causing issues, okay? I know what I'm talking about. I posted my video originally explaining the situation. Within minutes of me posting it, my account was gone on both Instagram and Threads. It only had a few hundred views. It had no community guideline violations. I've never had any either. And it was gone. The whole account. Still gone. And his team and him follows me on my pages. I posted it on TikTok first. I don't think they got much control over that. You know, TikTok got a lot going on. Instagram, though, Meta, though, yeah, they have influence over that. So Keith calling me someone going through psychosis for putting 2 and 2 together, that's very obvious. Yeah, no. And that's a whole nother conversation. Saying I got psychosis because I know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, that's it. I'm leaving it at that. You can choose to believe me or you can choose not to. I'm hoping that my reputation and my word speaks for itself. And if it doesn't, then so be it. But I hope you all know that no matter what matters the most is making sure the people in this state are okay. So either way, we need them people on the right to not be in office. That's what I care about the most, is the people in this doggone state. I come forward to you all and explain something to you.
Okay. So there you have it from Miss Morgan. Now, I could not find her original, but the original, her original, y'all tell I got brain fog, but her original clip, everybody has seen that. But I know that a lot of people had not seen what I just showed you. And I wanted to play the whole thing because I wanted you to hear in her own words what happened, why it happened, why she did what she did, and what has happened to her and her social media accounts as it relates to Meta, i.e., Instagram, Threads, Facebook, that they have somehow disappeared. And she maintains that perhaps Talarico's campaign, because he's so high profile, had something to do with her accounts disappearing. Is that true? I don't know. But what I do know is, well, okay, let's look at, because I promised you that we're going to look at some clips to put this story together, and then we're going to come back and have a conversation about it. And I'm going to come back and tell you what my thoughts are about it. And like I said, I live in Texas. I'm from Texas, fifth generation Texas and all that. And the only dog in this hunt I have is us winning, beating Paxton, because Paxton is going to be the nominee. And the Democrats are famous for self-imploding. And this is, I hate to say I was right and I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so because it's what Democrats do. They eat their young, literally. They do. But this race right here is for the Democrats to lose. And they're doing a pretty good job of it. Let's look, okay, I wanted to show you the aftermath of what has happened to her since. Now I'm going to show you, and I'm sure that you have seen this, but I'm going to show you now Colin Allred's response.
Morning, everybody. It's cold out here, and I got some steam coming off my head because I'm, just finished my workout. Got some steam coming out of my ears too. I understand that James Talarico had the temerity and the audacity to say to a Black woman that he had signed up to run against a mediocre Black man, meaning me, not a formidable, intelligent Black woman, meaning Jasmine Crockett. Let me just break this down into a few segments here. First of all, let me just give you some free advice, James. If you want to compliment Black women, just do it. Just do it. Don't do it while also tearing down a Black man, okay? We've seen that play before. We're sick and tired of it. We're tired of folks using praise for Black women to mask criticism for Black men. That's not good for our community. It's not good. It doesn't work, and we know what you're doing. Okay, so if next time you want to praise a Black woman, just do that. Leave Black men out of it. Just leave a lot of things out of it. Second of all, did you ever have a coach or somebody, a leader in your life tell you that when you make an accusation, you often have a bit of confession in it? Maybe you use the word mediocre because there was something creeping into your mind about yourself. Because I know you're not talking about somebody who's been better at 3 things than you've ever been at 1. You are not saving religion for the Democratic Party or the left. We already had Senator Reverend Dr. Raphael Warnock for that. We don't need you. You're not saying anything unique. You're just saying it looking like you do. Okay? And third of all, let me just say to all the young Black men out there, all the young men who come from tough background, struggle growing up, who maybe think that someday you want to put yourself forward as a leader in your community. It's going to have haters like this are going to show up, okay? And you're going to feel like you have to be twice as good and jump twice as high and talk twice as well, but you don't have to. You can walk out there with your shoulders back and your head held up high, knowing who you are and the value that you bring, and understanding that this comes with the territory and that there's going to be folks like this. And when we see them, we should say thank you. Thank you for taking off the mask. Thank you for telling us who you really are and what you really think. And goodbye, okay? Because we're on our way and we don't need you to come with us and we don't need your help to get there. So with that being said, go vote for Jasmine Crockett. This man should not be our nominee for the United States Senate. I wasn't gonna get involved in this race, but listen, don't come for me unless I send for you. Okay, James? And keep my name out of your mouth while you're at it.
Okay, that was Colin Allred, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this with all the respect in the world. I think that Colin Allred did himself a lot of damage there, and it is indicative of what's wrong with Washington, D.C. politics. And I would never question. I've never met him. I have the utmost respect for him. I was all in for him when he ran against Ted Cruz. When he was the guy. I mean, he was just an upstanding guy. And to see him do this kind of thing, I had to keep watching it because I'm trying to figure out why in the world would he do this? Because that had not been his character. When he ran the first time, that's not his character as I have seen it since he's been running against Julie Johnson in this new race. And that race right there, Julie Johnson is a white woman. She had been representing that district, but with the gerrymandering, it all got crazy, and Allred got kicked out. Did Jasmine Crockett's house got moved out of our district, and I will say, and those of you who know me and know this show know that I will tell you that Congresswoman Crockett is my representative. I live in District 30, and she is our representative. But putting that aside, Colin Allred, that response was very disappointing. Number one is, to me, when it comes to this kind of thing, and when you get to that level, and let me tell you why I believe what he did. Because what men do, what he should have done was pick up the phone and call Talarico and say, "Hey, man, I've been told you said this about me. This is what I've been told. So I'm coming straight." See, that's the kind of thing I do. And it disarms people. But see, I'm not a messy person. And if I hear somebody say something that I know that's out of my character and that's not me, I'm not going to blast them on social media. I'm going to go right to them and say, "Hey, I heard you said this. Is it true?" Because see, that's what adults do. That's what leaders do. And that's why it was so disappointing to see that he chose to do this the way that he did it, and to use the kind of language that he did. And politicians just don't say anything just to be saying anything. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's why I had to listen to and watch that video 2 or 3 or 4 times, because I really wanted to hear what he was saying, and I wanted to know who it was he was talking to. Now, you have to understand this. The Black vote in Texas, although Black people make up the largest population in anywhere in the United States, as I said before, they also are the weakest when it comes to voting. The turnout is just not there. And what is troubling to Black leaders in this state right now is that Talarico does have crossover support. He has crossover support with Black Christians. He has crossover support with Black teachers. He has crossover support with the number of people that Black people feel should be in Jasmine Crockett's camp. Now, the last poll that was done, the Texas Opinion Poll, and I referenced that in this description that it came out last Friday, which shows Congresswoman Crockett up by 1 percentage point, 38 to 37%. It also showed that she has 75% of the Black vote. Now, she does not have 100% of the Black vote. She has a firewall of 75% of the Black vote, which means that other 25%, and I'm talking about Black population on the whole, no candidate gets an entire ethnic group of population. But with her polling at 75% and Talarico making inroads now into African American communities, that is concerning. The other thing that is concerning is the male vote. The young Black male vote. Let me be more specific in telling you this. What is concerning to Democrats is looking at these past 2 elections and looking at this past election, this 2024 election with Trump, where 22% of young Black men, 45 and under, broke for Trump. More young Black men voted for Donald Trump than any Republican candidate in recent history. Now, if you notice with Allred, towards the end, he did all of this rage, man, come for me and all that kind of stuff. But then at the end, he really gets to what he was wanting to get to. And that's 2 things. One is to gin up the vote for young Black men, because the Democrats have notoriously ignored Black men. I'm not saying making this up, and I'm not being mean. I'm just saying what is. Because although Black people make up the largest single group that votes Democrat, the Democrats, for the most part, ignores that group. They put more emphasis on LGBTQ. They put more emphasis on progressives, white progressives, and Black women, which leaves the Black men hanging out there. So when Allred made that pitch, when he was making it particularly to young Black men, and if you hear him towards the end, how he said, if you want to young Black men, if you want to, grow up and someday think you're a leader, just know you're going to have these haters and all that kind of stuff. That was an appeal to their emotions. Because let me tell you one thing. We know as far as watching voter behavior, especially among low information voters. And please know that I'm not talking about anybody. All I'm saying is what is. What is. When you are dealing with low information voters, whether it's white MAGA voters, whether it's Black men voters, or whether it's the Black voters, whatever that demographic is, and trust me, the consultants and the politicians know these groups. So what you have to do when you are dealing with low information voters, meaning that these people are not going to read campaign materials, they're not going to come to a forum, they're not going to ask questions, they're not going to do any of that. So how do you reach those people? You reach them one way: emotion, rage, outrage, and fear. Emotion, rage, enrage, outrage, and fear. That's how you reach low information voters. And it's a one-time shot, because they're not going to stay around and vote for city council and local elections and all that. They're not going to do that. So when you see a politician like Colin Allred make that pitch that he did toward the end, that was for low information Black male voters, because they do not vote. And when you have a demographic that does not vote, you have to appeal to their emotion. You have to appeal to their heart, because low information voters do not vote with their head, they vote with their heart. And if you can get to their heart, you can get their vote. It does not matter. You don't intend to be there for them after the election. You don't need them then. You need to get them to the poll. And right now in Texas, the drag on the Democrat Party is Black voters, particularly young Black voters, particularly the voters that Congresswoman Crockett desperately needs to win this primary. And right now, remember what I told you, her demographic: Black women, Black voters, urban progressives. And if she loses either one of those constituencies, she cannot win this race. She can't. It's mathematically impossible. So Allred did what he did. I like I said, it's shocking, because that has not been his personality. But I also know that there's still a lot of frustration there with him, because he had it was set. It was going to be him and Talarico. And then Congresswoman Crockett got in the race. There was some tension there at the beginning. And then Mark Vesey got in the race. Remember Mark Vesey from Fort Worth? He got in District 30. It was just all messed up in the game as far as it relates to Black leaders in Texas. So now that it has shaken out the way it has shaken out, and I know Allred, like Colin Allred's mother is white. Colin Allred's wife is white. So it's not like he has had this big push for Black young men all the time. And that hasn't even been his district that he ran in before. So I'm looking at this and I'm going, Huh. Huh. But it's an appeal to the Black voters, to the Black male voters who don't vote. Okay? And it's unfortunate. Very unfortunate the way that it happened. Now, I don't know Miss Morgan. I don't know, Morgan Thompson. She's apparently a political influencer. But this is, Talarico said, I didn't say that. And I'll read you what he said that he actually said. As a matter of fact, he said, I've got it right here. He said, I described Congressman Allred's method of campaigning as mediocre, but his life and service are not. He said it was a mischaracterization of a private conversation. He calls it that. She calls it something different. He said, there's no recording of it. But I tell you this one thing, whatever credibility and whatever confidences, people who would take her, and I think her business is a political influencer, she don't have to worry about that anymore. Because with something like this, people are not going to trust her. People are not going to trust her to have a conversation with her and that she won't go off and blast it on social media. That is what's going to be damaging to her, which is really sad. But that's just what happens. I mean, when politicians are skittish anyway, and if they are comfortable, if you ever get comfortable enough with them that they share, things, and that's why a lot of politicians, they're not mean. They're not standoffish. They've been burned. I can tell you, as a former elected official myself, when you've been burned a time or two, you don't trust people that easily at all. So she's not going to have to worry about that, because seeing how this went down with Talarico, oh no, it's like, I don't know what you're going to say. I don't know. And like, it's not a recording, right? Even she said, he said, she said, he said this, and she's saying he said that. But in the end, it's going to be more damaging to her as an influencer, as politicians take her into their confidence, because they're going to be wondering, am I going to have to worry about this? So it's just a tragedy all the way around. And it boils down, y'all, to one word, and it boils down to integrity. Integrity. I know a bunch of secrets. You probably had to kill me, but I know a bunch of secrets. Why? Because I have the confidence of many people who understand and who know Dorothy Burton, that, I take stuff to God. I don't take it to social media and blast people. That's just not the way you do it, especially when you're in public office and you're running for offices. Y'all cannot imagine, if you've never been under that microscope, you cannot people can't, those who have not run for office, we can't even explain it to you, but it is a terrible place to be. And once you find somebody that you think you can trust, and then turns out you couldn't, oh man, that's like a knife in the heart. So let's look at this one. This clip is from James Corville. And let's see, let me find it. This one right here kind of tells you the other side, because the other side of this is, while Black voters, Black men, that and the demographic that Congresswoman Crockett needs is kind of shaky. The white Democrats, the national white Democrats, the white Democrats in Texas that vote are all in for Talarico. And this is, let me let you hear what let me let you hear what James Corville, and if you've been in politics for any length of time, you know who James Corville is.
Admiration for a columnist for the New York Times whose name is Michelle Goldberg. I know her not well, but intersected with her a couple of times. Struck me as a perfectly nice person. But she wrote a column that I think really stands out. And it was about two comedians that were making jokes about Jasmine Crockett not having as good a chance to win. And of course, the online identitarians, we slaughtered them to the point that they had to do some kind of hostage tape that they're sorry that they were offended at what they were deeply misogynistic and racist or whatever shit they come up with. And Michelle pointed this out and did it very, very, very effectively. So I want to address the Democratic coalition. Now, there are two people you can be. You can be an identitarian, and you can say your identity is the most important thing to you, and people in identity politics should reign supreme in a Democratic Party. And anybody that suggests otherwise is horrible, can't believe what a sorry-ass person they are. There's another side of the Democratic Party that says winning is everything, stupid. If you don't win, you haven't done shit. Okay, you're just sitting there, you got one stump dug up your ass and one in your mouth, and you switch it every 5 seconds. And the truth of the matter is, I am for James Talarico and not Jasmine Crockett. It doesn't have anything to do with anybody's identity, okay? Get this through your stupid fucking head. This has got to do with their ability to articulate a message, their framing of issues, and how do you identify with Texans in a year that we have a good chance to win. You don't do it by making fun of people in wheelchairs. That's not a good idea, okay? You don't do it by saying that Hispanic people that voted for Trump have a slave mentality. That is not the way you get people, okay? That's not. Let's do this thing. Let's get Jim Talarico nominated. Let's take this thing to the general election and be right with it. But all you identity shits, listen to me. Join the winning side, because that's what we get ready to do. We're getting ready to win, and that is the most important consideration for any voter in any Democratic primary. Who can win the fucking general election? That's it.
Okay. 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 Yeah. How afraid are Republicans of this race? How afraid are Texas Republicans, and not even just Texas Republicans, but even the national Republicans? How afraid are they of this race? Because Republicans got their ass handed to them this week in a race that they went all out. Excuse me, Steve Bannon, Donald Trump with his endorsement, all that. But Taylor Remett fair out beat that woman by 17 points, flipping that seat. Talarico, when he first got elected, flipped a Republican seat. So this is not new to him. But what happened this past week in Fort Worth, I don't even believe that there are words to put to what that victory meant in Fort Worth. That was an earth-shattering come to Jesus moment for the Republicans. Because if Remett could win that seat, could flip that seat that Trump won so hugely before, to use his word, so bigly, and then he can flip that seat with the ultra MAGA woman, with the president's endorsement and all of that, that scared the you know what out of the Republicans. And how do I know that it scared the you know what out of the Republicans? Because they had a meeting. They had a meeting, y'all, and somebody recorded the meeting. They are scared to death because they know what I have been saying, sitting here for the past 2 months, that this race is for the Democrats to lose. And what Colin Allred did, and now that this big needless crack has developed. I said it last week. I don't know if Black voters would show up at the poll in November if Talarico won. And doing this kind of thing, what Allred did and said, is not, I think it's going to have the opposite effect of what he thought. Yeah, it will inflame low information voters. Yeah, it will get people angry, and it may or may not get them to the poll. But I'm guarantee you what it will do in November. It's guaranteed to not get them to the poll in November if Talarico comes out as the nominee. And that's what's so tragic for the Democrats. Now, how afraid are the Republicans? Let me show you this clip right here. Let me show you this clip right here. And I think it's the last one we'll show. And then I'm going to show you something that's very surprising that doesn't bode well for Congresswoman Crockett. Let me see. Let's see. Let's see.
This is Texas. We're going to bend a knee to no man, to no government for any reason. We're not going to look to Washington, D.C.
We cannot afford to lose what is the most important county in the entire country. And last night, we got our butts kicked.
We won't be all right in November if we don't work this election harder than we have ever worked any election in the history of this place.
This is the easiest place in the history of the world to change power for good. Please help guys like Aaron, help guys like Tim O'Hare, help me. Don't just vote yourself. Get your kids, get every friend you have, call it.
They hate your skin color, they hate our history, they hate our heritage, they hate this country, they hate everything that we hold dear. And they have a bloodlust to destroy us. These are the worst enemies that you could possibly imagine. And they are right in our midst. This is Texas. We're going to bend a knee to no man, to no government for any reason. We're not going to look to Washington, D.C.
We cannot afford to lose what is the most important county in the entire country. And last night, we got our butts kicked.
We won't be all right in November.
Yeah. And I had to let it run over a little bit. That's how scared the Republicans are. Those were Republican leaders in that room. Huffines, all that. And then the guys, they hate our skin color. They hate this. They hate that. They're trying to gin up this white vote. You know why? Because they are scared. They are scared, Democrats. And for Colin Allred to come out and do what he did when all it would take would have been just a simple phone call to call Talarico to clear this up, for Talarico to say man to man, because these people have served together before. So, and the most damaging thing to me two things really with Allred. And, like I say, I don't have a dog in this hunt. I'm just telling y'all what I know and what I see. Allred said something that I had to go back and replay it and replay it and replay it. Allred said at the end of his video, he said, we're on our way and we don't need your help to get there, talking about Talarico. And talking about white voters, I guess. It ain't gonna happen. It is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And then to attack the man's faith. When he said, we don't need your faith because we got Senator Warnock. He's our preacher. We got enough of that. And that is dismissing what's very important to a lot of not only white voters, but a lot of Black Christian voters. It is dismissing their faith. Say, we don't need you. We already got one. And see, that's the thing with the Democrat Party. That's the thing. It's like the Democrat Party and Talarico is taking this head on with this faith thing. And in Texas and in rural Texas, people's faith and church means a lot to them. And for Allred to dismiss that like that, it shows that he really don't know Texas. And it also shows to me another thing, that people like Allred is part of the problem what we have in Washington, D.C. right now. a lot of the friction, a lot on both sides could be just squashed if people were mature enough to talk to one another. The way Allred did that was not only disappointing, but it's also damaging to him. It's damaging to the Democratic Party, and it's damaging to Congresswoman Crockett, the very one that he tried to help. I'm just telling you, it is. It is. And let me show you this. Like I said, Congresswoman Crockett cannot afford to lose one of her three major demographics, and her major three demographics are Black women, Black voters, and urban progressives. Black women, Black voters, and urban progressives. If she lose any ground in either one of those, I'm sitting here telling you right now, it's over for her, because her firewall are Black voters, urban progressives, and Black women. If she loses ground in either one of those three, it is over for her. Bye, you're not winning. And let me tell you something that happened that does not bode well for her at all. I called it wrong. I'm going to simply tell you I called it wrong because it shocked me. This right here. It's right here. Talarico has been endorsed by the Houston Chronicle. For those of you who are not in Texas, I'm going to tell you how important that is. Houston is the largest urban area in Texas. Houston is also, let me see if I can find it really. I'm gonna see if I can find it really quick. Let me see if I can find it, because this is really important as I lay this out for y'all. It's just not an endorsement. Let's see if I can. No, that's not the one. Anyway, I was looking at this quote from Abbott. Abbott has raised more money than any politician that I can think of in recent history. I think his coffers is now like up to $106 million. I think that was the last count. Why is this important, y'all? Why? And shocking. Because if Jasmine Crockett could not get the Houston Chronicle's endorsement, and if she does not get the Dallas Morning News endorsement, it's over. Because that means she has lost the major urban centers in Texas. Now, she did get the endorsement, I think, of the San Antonio paper. But San Antonio, when it comes to Tarrant County, when it comes to, and people who are not from Texas, when I say Tarrant County, Fort Worth, Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, those are the major areas, urban areas in Texas. And that's where Congresswoman Crockett's major support is coming from, the urban areas. Because when you get to the rural areas and when you get to the Panhandle and the border, they are more likely to go for Talarico. And we have talked about that before. And Talarico and Bobby Polito, remember I talked about that, how they have cross-endorsed one another. Talarico is running stronger with Hispanic voters. Now, Congresswoman Crockett ran an internal poll that shows her leading the Hispanic vote. Now, that's an internal poll of hers. That has not been validated, so I don't know. But according to her, she is leading among Hispanics. Now, the 75% that I talked about from the beginning, that I was going to talk about at the beginning of this before Allred and all this stuff, there is 21%, according to the Texas Opinion poll, 21% taken in that poll were undecided. And it is going to be the undecideds, and it's going to be that 16% that we've talked about before. Let me see if I can find it. I hope I kept that. Let's see. That right there, this right here. That 16% of unaffiliated voters that's hanging out there. And this talks about, the age, the young people not voting, and that's who Allred was appealing to. So why was it important? Why is it important, and why does it not bode well that the Houston Chronicle has endorsed James Talarico? Well, I'm gonna tell you. Greg Abbott has said, oh, this is what I was fixing to say. I told y'all my brain is foggy because I got this sinus thing going on. Greg Abbott has said with his $106 million war chest that his number one thing is to use as much of that money as he need to turn Houston, for the people who are not in Texas, Houston or red. Not only red, but blood red. So let me help you to connect the dots. Harris County, for those of you who aren't in Texas, which is Houston. When I say Harris County and Houston, that's the same thing. So Greg Abbott has targeted Harris County. He has said that more than once. He's already torn down the public school system with Mike Miles, and we've talked about that here too. But let me tell y'all why this endorsement is so very important. This Houston Chronicle endorsement. And it being the largest urban area in Texas, which is Congresswoman Crockett's stronghold. Let me tell you what that means. Knowing that Greg Abbott is coming after Houston or Harris County, he's made that known. Knowing that Jasmine Crockett polls well in urban areas, then why would Harris County endorse Talarico? I'm going to tell you why they endorsed Talarico. Because they believe that James Talarico can win. That's what that endorsement means. Because Harris County, Dallas County, Bexar County. Like I said, she got San Antonio, the San Antonio Express endorsement. But when it comes to the big dogs, there are two. The Dallas Morning News and the Houston Chronicle. The Houston Chronicle has made their choice. I don't know if the Dallas Morning News has. I have not seen it. But if the Dallas Morning News follows suit with the Houston Chronicle, Congresswoman Crockett is it's not over, but it's going to be very, very tough for her. Very, very tough. Very tough. Because that's her stronghold. Her stronghold are the urban centers. Colin Allred knows this. Her stronghold are Black voters. Colin Allred knows this. But the weakest link of those Black voters are young Black men. Colin Allred knows this. So that's why his appeal was to the young Black men, not young Black women, not young Black voters. If you hear him, if you listen to him, see, you got to listen to politicians. I have a politician bullshit meter ear, and I hear what they're saying, okay? His appeal was to young Black men, not young Black voters, not young Black women, young Black men, low information voters. Young Black men don't get no attention at all from the Democrat Party until it's time to vote. And what do? They say, no, see you, I'm going to pass. And that's an Achilles heel. So what do? You got to get them. You got to get them to the polls some kind of way. And like I said, it has to be with the heart and not the head. It has to be through emotion, anger, rage. Republicans do it too. You saw what Huff Feinsner was saying. Why do you think that man standing there said they hate us? They hate our skin color, blah, 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 blah. They trying to do the same thing with the white folks because it works. What's so unfortunate here, though, is that the Democrats are splintered now. And what the fear is what I see is that this thing, when you do that kind of thing, when you race bait, when you play that game, you better hope to God that that strategy wins, because if it doesn't, it will backfire. And in politics, what it means when it backfires is if that person does not win, they have generated so much hatred and so much anger against that when it comes time to vote in November, they don't vote because they have ginned up so much anger, so much hatred against that candidate, in this case, Talarico, that if Talarico wins the nomination, since there has been so much anger and angst and racial and all of this stirred up against him. Now, he hadn't done that. His campaign hadn't done that. White Democrats hadn't done that. White progressive Democrats hadn't done that. Blacks have. And they are running the danger of, come November, people have long memories. Especially low information voters. They have long memories because why? Because they vote on emotion. They don't vote on information. They vote on emotion. And they're not going to come out in November. They're not going to come out for Talarico in November, which means Paxton is going to win. I'm saying that's the danger of what just happened with all of this, with Allred and all that kind of stuff. That's the danger of it. The flip side of it, though, is you get the emotion, you get all that, you get, but with low information voters who vote on emotion, what happened today, and with the primary being over a month away, they can forget. You got to keep making them mad. You got to keep playing to their emotion. You got to keep enraging them. You got to do all that because that's what they go on. They go on heart and not head. And it's the same on the other side with the MAGAs. That's why they do all that stuff. That's because in politics it works until it doesn't. And right now with the Democrats, I'm telling y'all, I've been saying it. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I've been telling y'all. If y'all have been here, y'all have heard me say, this race is the Democrats' race to lose. And with Allred saying we're on our way and we don't need your help to get there, oh man, really? Really? And y'all saw how, that's why I want to play that tape. That's why I want to play that clip with the Republicans. Y'all see how scared these Republicans are. I'm telling y'all, that race too, they scared them to death. It wasn't supposed to be. They know they can be beaten. They know they are unpopular. They know, and those 5 seats, those redrawn seats, like I put on Facebook, what they meant for evil, God meant for good, because those seats are barely Republican. Those seats are flippable. And they know it. That's why I wanted to play y'all that clip that somebody, thank God, somebody recorded so you could hear them in their own words. They are scared shitless because they know that the Democrats can win this race in November. They know it. They know it. And here the Democrats are, 2 weeks out from early voting, and here they are. They doing what Democrats do. As I said it before, Republicans fall in line, Democrats fall in love. So if they all in love with Jasmine Crockett or all this or all this hatred towards Talarico, it's what the Republicans know Democrats do. And, it boggles my mind that Colin Allred would do this. I mean, I know why he did it, but in the scheme of things, in the bigger picture, you just have to be more wise than that. And it's going to backfire. It's going to even backfire in his race against Julie Johnson, what I'm telling you. And while the Houston Chronicle has spoken, y'all, I can't tell y'all, like I say, I can't tell y'all how major that is. That's major. Houston is the biggest urban center in Texas. Yeah. And the rural areas, we've already talked about that. 254 counties, we've already talked about that, how rural Texas rules Texas. And Talarico is strong in the rural areas. And the undecideds, that 21% that the Texas Opinion poll, polled, and according to their poll, 75% of Black voters are Jasmine Crockett's. 21% polled Democrats that they polled are undecided. Talarico is polling way ahead in white educated voters, and rural voters. So Colin Allred didn't do the Democrats a favor at all. Okay, so I'm done talking. That's my 2 cents. That's where I see it. Without favor, without sensationalism, without any of that. It's sad because it's just sad. It's just sad to see this implosion of the Democrats, this splintering of the Democrats, needlessly so. Yeah. So let me hear from y'all. Let's talk about it. Hi, Renee. I'm so glad to see you. So let's see. It doesn't matter because Congresswoman Crockett will not win. She has no good policies and she supports that genocide in Gaza. That's going to be a rub too. Although I tried to find, because it had been alleged that she took AIPAC money. I know that she took a trip to Israel sponsored by AIPAC. And, but as far as the PAC money from AIPAC, I can't find that, but I've heard it a lot of times. But I haven't seen her campaign report. I don't know if she's released her campaign report, but I haven't seen it. But you're right. A lot of people are saying that they can't support her because of her support of Israel and the genocide in Gaza. Whether she's taken money from AIPAC, I don't know, but she has voted in favor of Israel. That much I do know. And she's taken a trip sponsored by, I think, AIPAC. Let's see. Gotta say this one, I'm trusting Talarico a bit more because he said, I said Allred's campaigning was mediocre, not himself. But if he was lying, why would he just outright deny it? Yeah, that's what Talarico said. He said right here. He said, I didn't say that. He said, Talarico's campaign released a statement Monday. Colin Thompson's claims quote, a mischaracterization of a private conversation. Going on to explain, I described Congressman Allred's method of campaigning as mediocre, but his life and service are not. Thompson acknowledged that she didn't have a recording and that they had previously agreed to treat their conversation as off the record. Now, see, if she had agreed to treat that conversation off record, and then she comes out blasting him, saying he said what he said, although there's no recording to say what he said, and that she is a supporter of Congresswoman Crockett, that's suspect right there. I'm just saying, to people with even common sense, that's just suspect. They were having an off the record conversation. They had agreed, she said, Thompson acknowledged that she didn't have a recording and that they had previously agreed to treat their conversation as off the record. As I said before, it goes back to people with integrity. You either have it or you don't. And if she had agreed to that, why then would she make that public and come out and say what she said? That was the question to me. But, you know, people do what they feel they need to do. But it was a faux pas that didn't need to be. And it's a faux pas that's going to hurt the Democrats. It's going to splinter the Democrats, which is very unfortunate. And you know what the Republicans are doing? The Republicans are going, yay, woo, yay, yay. Because the Republicans know who they want in November. They also know who they don't want in November. And they are like, yes, go Colin, go Colin, go Colin. That's what my Republican friends are telling me anyway. Let's see, agree. If she cared so much about Democrats winning, she would have handled this. Yes, she would have, very differently. And it's very unfortunate. Thank you for your comment. Let's see, on the flip side, if they were lying to help Crockett win, why wouldn't they say he called Crockett a mediocre black woman instead of saying he targeted Allred? See, that's the thing, y'all. It's a he said, she said thing. She said, he said this. He said, I didn't say that. And like she said, there's no recording of it. But for Allred to have handled it the way, the bad guy in this is not Morgan Thompson, although it was wrong of her to take what was an understanding between her and Talarico as a private conversation and make it public. That's wrong. But what's egregious? See, there's wrong and there's egregious. She was wrong. What Colin Allred did was egregious and damaging. And that's the rub right there. Even he taking that information, he could have handled it so differently by just picking up the phone and calling Talarico to clear it up. See, when you're concerned about the whole, that's what you do. That's what you do. It's just unfortunate. That's all I can say. It should have been handled so differently. Talarico should have been a man and called Colin. Well, okay, let me say this. I think Talarico was blindsided. I think Talarico, the reports say, he had a conversation with this lady, and you know, she said he said what he said, and we don't know the whole story. We don't know if Talarico tried to call Allred. We don't know. We don't know. It's just so much we don't know. But what we do know is that this conversation took place and that this lady chose to make it public. And Talarico said, no, that's not what I said at all. And then it just took off from there. It's a comedy of errors, but it ain't funny. It's not. And Allred was the one that made it public, the way that he did it. I don't know if Talarico just blew it off. It's like, man, I didn't say that, and didn't think that it would get as big as it did. But either way, those two leaders, those two men should have had a conversation about it. And it's going to cost the Democrats a lot. And Colin should have been a man and called Talarico. Yeah. 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 But see, that's part of what's wrong with Congress, y'all. because so much can be resolved by people just talking to one another. They don't. Did Colin call Talarico mediocre, or was it was the other way around? It was the other way around. Thompson alleges that Talarico, and this is from a CNN, y'all. I pulled it off CNN. Thompson alleges that Talarico, who is white, said, "I signed up to run against a mediocre black man, not a formidable, intelligent black woman." Talarico, in his statement denying the exact wording as Thompson related, said, this is Talarico, "I understand how my critique of the congressman's campaign could be interpreted given the country's painful legacy of racism. And I care deeply about the impact my words have on others." In an interview on Monday evening, Allred told CNN he felt the campaign statement is, quote, "an admission that he said what he said," and expressed surprise that he hadn't heard from Talarico directly. So, hope that answers your question. I hope that answers your question. Let's see. Tanya. They're saying Talarico called Colin a mediocre black man, and he's saying, yeah, I said his campaign was mediocre, not himself. Yeah, that was the exact quote that he said. And why would a black person vote for Talarico if these are the conversations he's having behind the scenes? At least with a Republican, you know what you're going to get. See, that's the thing. He said he didn't say that. She said he said it. There's no recording to say either way. So why would a black person vote for Talarico if these are the conversations he's having? Did he have this conversation? According to him, he didn't say it. According to her, he said it. So it's a he said, she said, and it all boils down to a big old nothing burger, except to create tension and hard feelings that at this point on the Democrats' part is going to be damaging to the Democrats. What is identity politics? When people identify as LGBTQ, black, white, female, it's all the labels, it's all the boxes that you have to check. That's identity politics, and that's what he meant by that. And Democrats are notorious for identity politics. They're just, they just are. It's the LGBTQ, it's the progressives, it's the blacks, it's the women. They have all of these boxes, all of these identities. And I hope that answered the question for you, but that's what identity politics is. Yeah. And Democrats are notorious for that. Yeah. And it gets them beat a lot because these identities clash. These identities get jealous of others because you will hear black voters say that Democrats pay more attention to LGBTQ people than they do black voters, or they pay more attention to black women than they do white voters, or they pay more attention to this box than that box, or that identity as opposed to that identity. And that's been the Democrats' problem all along, that they butt heads, because you will hear black voters say, and it's true, that the most reliable demographic or identity for the Democrat Party are black voters, particularly black women. And there is some angst among black voters who say that the Democrat Party pays more attention to LGBTQ than they do their bread and butter, and that's black voters, particularly black women. So that's why I have said it, and I will keep saying it, and that's what Colin Allred and this right here, it proves it out, that the Democrats eat their young. And I've said it before. And that's why I meant when I say Republicans have joked for years that Republicans fall in line, but Republicans fall in love. I mean, Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line. Democrats fall in love with their demographic or their identity, whatever that is. So if you are a progressive, a left in the Democrat Party, if you are not a progressive and if you are a moderate, then they no, not, it don't matter that all of you are Democrats, but it's what wing or what identity of the Democrat Party do you most identify with? That would depend on if I support you or not. And that's what gets them in trouble. That's what gets them losing races that they should win. And that's what's going to get them losing this race come November. Because if Black voters can't find it in themselves to, especially this anger now that's been, or this split now, or this danger of being split now, they're not going to come out in November. They're just not. They're not. And that's what's going to cost them the race. And that's what Republicans are counting on, Democrats being Democrats. And that right there is how Democrats, yeah, it is. It is. That's the only way they can lose. That's the only way they can lose. This is not how Dems win Texas. No, it's not. That's all I'm going to say about it. You're right. You're right. You are so right. They're going to beat themselves. They're going to beat themselves. Republicans shouldn't be scared at all. They are. I'm telling you, man, when you could, thank you for your comment. When you could win a solid red, I mean, that seat was solid red. That seat been solid red since 1983. That seat was a slam dunk Republican seat. It was. I mean, no, they ain't won over there, I think, yeah, since 1983. And that right there, winning, that was huge. That was a sea change in the minds of Texas Republicans. Because if that seat can flip like that, they know they can win. They know that they can lose this Senate seat in November. They know they can lose this Senate seat in November. And the Democrats are giving it away by their infighting, tearing one another down. Y'all saw that clip I showed y'all with them Republicans, and they enter a meeting. That's how they talk. That's how they talk. What Colin Allred did was very damaging to the Democrats. And we'll see just how damaging it is. Democrats will not win if you listen to James Carville. Democrats have to have a coalition. Black voters may be small in numbers, but they need us. They do. They do. They do. And if you peel off Black voters, if you splinter the vote, Democrats not going to win. Y'all need each other. Devil knows that. he knows. And look, and the Republicans know it too. And the Republicans are laughing, oh my God, because they got handed a gift. They got handed a gift that they didn't count on. And this is a gift. And they're just going to sit back and watch the Democrats tear one another apart over this very thing. Over this very thing. Over this very thing. And it's going to be to the detriment of Black voters, not Hispanic voters, not white voters, Black voters. And in Texas, you know, we always the ones that get hurt the most. I can't tell you how disappointing and so unnecessary what Colin Allred did. It's just so unnecessary. Maybe it was necessary for his pride, but, you know, pride aside, other than that, you have said it's snatch and defeat. That's it. That's what I told y'all. That's the only way. If y'all go back and look at some of my shorts on YouTube, if y'all go back and look at some of I said the only way the Democrats are going to lose this is that if they snatch victory out of the jaws of defeat, and that is what they're doing with this, what Colin Allred did. If only they could have you to. Now, I'm not a Democrat, y'all. I ain't no Republican either. I ain't nothing. I'm politically, I'm just, thank you, darling, for that. I'm just a watchman on the wall. That's why I can be so transparent and so open about all of this. I know who I'm going to vote for. Like I said, Congresswoman Crockett is my congresswoman. She represents District 30. I also respect Talarico because of the work that he did with us, a number of us, this past year on these school vouchers and speaking up against this white Christian nationalism. As a matter of fact, let me play this, and I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back to. Let me play this one right here. Just a second. This was him on The View.
We're supposed to follow Jesus's 2 commandments: love God and love neighbor. Mm-hmm. And I believe that. I mentioned that my granddad was a Baptist preacher. Yeah. And when I was real little, he told me that we're supposed to follow Jesus's 2 commandments: love God and love neighbor. Mm-hmm. And I believe forcing my religion down the throats of my Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist, atheist, agnostic neighbors is not love. And it's why I've fought so hard for the separation of church and state. I was raised to believe that boundary in our First Amendment is a sacred boundary. Yeah. And it doesn't just benefit our democracy, although it certainly does. It also benefits the church. Yeah. Because when the church gets too cozy with political power, it loses its prophetic voice. Yeah. And so I hope in the U.S. Senate that I can continue my fight against Christian nationalism, because it is fundamentally un-Christian. It is a betrayal of Jesus of Nazareth, his life, his death, and his teachings. Correct. I mentioned that my granddad was a Baptist preacher. Yeah. And when I was real little, he told me that we're supposed to follow Jesus's 2 commandments: love God and love neighbor. Mm-hmm. And I believe forcing my religion down the throats of my Muslim, Jewish.
So anyway, you get the idea. That's him. Colin Allred not only attacked, to me, just listening to him, attack what Talarico supposedly has said. But what was so disappointing to me was that he attacked his faith too. He said, we don't need you for that. We got Senator Warnock for that. And see, that's a rub against the Democrats too, that the Democrats are not people of faith. But that's a lie. Because the majority of Democrats are Black people, and Black people are very religious. They just are. And for him to outright dismiss Talarico that way, to say, oh, we don't need that. We already got Warnock. We don't need you for that. And then to say we're on our way and we don't need your help to get there. I'm telling y'all, I'm telling you right now, that did more damage than he could know. Because not only did that insult people, it insulted people that he didn't mean to insult. I'll put it that way, because I've heard from him. I'm telling you, Colin Allred did the Democrats a grave disservice over what? Pride, I guess. Talarico is leading by 10 with Hispanics, which is not bad. It's still close. She don't have to win the Hispanic vote or the white vote. She just has to keep it close, which is what she's doing up until now. And with the Houston Chronicle's endorsement, that was surprising, shocking. I tell you what she can't afford to lose. She can't afford to lose the urban vote. She can't afford to lose progressives, urban progressives. She cannot afford to lose urban progressives. Yes, she's keeping it close. And you're right. And those undecideds, that 21%, that Texas opinion poll took that poll, and it said 21% were undecided now. Now, y'all know that a lot of some Hispanics did not like the fact that she said that when it comes to immigration, Hispanics have a slave mentality. That did not, I think it was Vanity Fair that she said that last year. That did not go over well at all with Hispanics, and they haven't forgotten that. But she has since come back and walked that back, and she has gained a lot of Hispanic support. You're right. But will it be enough? Will it be enough to overcome the Hispanic support that Talarico has? We'll see. And that 16%, that vote, that unaffiliated, and these 21%, they're among the same people, undecideds or not voting. And I keep going back to it. Colin Allred didn't do the Democrats any favors today. Oh yeah, we saw that. And let's see what that one has been. Let's see. It is already backfired. It's sad. Yeah, see, y'all, I told you I had this sinus thing going on. So, I got all these these texts and things, and then I took a nap, hoping my headache would go away. But if I tell y'all I came to this so unprepared, I hope y'all weren't able to tell. But man, if you've ever had a sinus infection and a sinus headache, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's see. It backfired the day Jasmine got in the race. They started attacking her from day one, just like they did Kamala. Yeah. Let's see. I feel better. I feel better, Dorothy. I'm disappointed in Colin. I thought he was smarter. I hope they talk to one another and clear some of this up. I never heard of the woman who spoke. I had neither. But apparently she's a online political influencer. But I fear, though, Susie, the damage has been done. I'm going to put that up there. Dorothy, who hates Talarico. Oh, if you only knew, Tanya. If you only knew. If you only knew. Well, I would tell you that's not true at all. But I'm not one to make public private confidences, but I will tell you that you are very wrong on that one. Let's see. It was not thought out carefully by Allred. It wasn't. It really wasn't. I mean, I think if he had to do it all over again, I don't, because he's a stand-up guy. That's what I'm saying. It was so shocking. Something like that to come from Colin Allred. It was just shocking. So your 2 cents. Thank you. Look, that's all I got too. I think you're spot on. Thank you so much. Well, they may as well vote for Paxton. He loves Israel. I know that you meant he loves Israel. Yes, they do. And I'm telling y'all, as flawed as Paxton is going to be the nominee. That's a given. Why would he even be discussing Allred? See, I don't know. See, that's the thing. We don't know because it was a private conversation. And that's the only part of that private conversation that Miss Thompson released. So there's no recording. There's no context other than he said, I didn't, count on, I counted on what she said, he said, and he said, I didn't say that. And I won't repeat it because, y'all know what was said. So again, if she really cares about the Democrats winning, she would have handled that very differently. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes we do stuff not knowing how damaging it will be. So we give her grace. either one of those men could have called. Thank you. That's what men do, right? One of them should have picked up the phone. Hey, I think from the news accounts, thank you for that. For the news accounts and what I can read and gather, it's like this came out of the blue to Talarico. It was like a hit upside the head. He go like, "What? I ain't say that." But men are men. Men are different. They not like us women. They not. They got a lot of pride. They got a lot of pride, And maybe Talarico, I don't know. I'm not in his mind. I don't know. I'm telling you I was shocked that Colin Allred did this, because the Colin Allred who had been the Colin Allred that I knew, just an amazing guy. I was shocked. But then, like I said, the more I thought about it, and when I played it over and over, the end of it, I could understand what he was doing. Yeah, either one was assuming they didn't. Yeah, assuming they didn't. Yeah, we know what we don't know. We don't know. This happened Sunday night. Allred said he waited for Talarico to call and he never did. Again, that's the he said, she said. Y'all, we don't know. As always, people want to think the worst of others. Maybe Allred assumed the worst of Talarico. Republicans have it easy. Republicans has it easy. Its majority is white. They don't really have to cater to anyone. That's true. And that's what makes the Democrat Party, to me, so important, because it mirrors more of not only Texas, but America. And that's why we are where we are not. Yeah. Hi, Alicia. Idiots. But the first thing, I know. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, it's just amazing to me to watch this implosion. Black voters will be fine. We know how to survive. Yeah. But yeah. There's a difference between surviving and thriving. When are we going to get to thriving and get past surviving? And I don't know. And the voter turnout among Black people is horrific. And I'm not saying that to down anybody. I mean, that's just what the statistics are. And even here in Texas, it comes to a point where, you got to get beyond surviving and thrive. Not there yet. They're using Talarico's faith as a way to justify him being a better candidate. You have to see it both ways. People who know, thank you, Jane. People who know me know, I mean, these Christian nationalists in Texas, and particularly North Texas where I live, and the fight that we fought last year against them, not only the 10 Commandments in schools, but the Bible-based curriculum that they were putting in public schools that they were able to do, trying to replace professionally trained school counselors with these unprofessionally trained Christian counselors in these public schools. If you're not in Texas, and if you don't understand what we went through last year, particularly those three things, and how dirty Greg Abbott was in getting a woman on the state school board that wasn't elected, that was appointed, that he appointed before the Black elected official could take the seat. Talarico was in that fight with us. Talarico was carrying the ball for public education, for public school teachers, for Christians, progressive Christians, non-Christians, but particularly, I take it back, well, non-Christians too, but particularly Christians. So I'm trying to answer your question to say that his faith did play a lot in it, but he was able to carry the ball for many of us who was fighting against this stuff. Because unless you're in Texas, you have no idea how these white Christian nationalists have taken over our public school systems, how they have just taken control of our public schools, our public school money, and how many of these public schools are closing because they don't have enough funds, because the state, again, as we fought against these vouchers, that's another fight that Talarico was in with a lot of us against these school vouchers, taking public school money and giving it to Christian schools. So to say that people think he's not, if you hadn't been like involved with these fights that we have had to fight against these white Christian nationalists, I don't call them Christian nationalists, they are white supremacists is what they are. You're right. Talarico looks like them. Talarico speaks their language. And Talarico could go toe to toe with them. And he did. I got to hand that to him. He did. He fought the good fight. And he fought the good fight because he is so well versed in theology. He's a theologian. He's a minister. So all of that is wrapped up in that. Not that people are saying that he is better or because he's a Christian, but it was because he was a Christian that he was able to fight on behalf of Texans, a lot of us who support public schools, who support not putting 10 commandments in public schools, and why. He was able to articulate that in a way because of his faith and because of his training to put those Christian white nationalists, white supremacists to shame. So that's why his faith and what he knows theologically matters in coming up against it. And I'm the same way. I'm theologically trained. I can go toe to toe with these people too and make them look like the fools and the hypocrites that they are. And that's what Talarico is able to do. And he was so in that fight with us. And it was a fight. That's why it's so disappointing to so many of us to see who even support Congresswoman Crockett. To see this, because it is not going to bode well for the Democrats come November. It's just not. And it's just not. Let me see. Dorothy, you are a Republican, I can tell. Yeah, I was for 40-something years. I was. That's why I know him so well. That's why I know him so well. And I was also elected, and I was also, like I say, God prepares us for what he has for us. And I thank him for that. I really do. And thank you for Tanya. I am. I thank God that I was. And that's why I can speak with such authority. And that's why I can speak with such assurance, because I know what I'm talking about. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. They're using religion in you too. You have to be very careful with that. Yeah, you do. And we've seen that with the MAGA evangelicals. And you have to also be able to combat them when it comes to theology and when it comes to the word. Yeah. So, yeah. All right, y'all. I think that's all the comments. It's supposed to be an hour. This is an hour and 44 minutes. I'm going to go and take my antibiotic and drink some hot tea. And thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate your comments. And we'll just see what happens. We'll see what happens. This is, it's unfortunate, but there's still time. And we'll just see what the Democrats do, because it's the Democrats' race to lose, right? It's the Democrats' race to lose. And when you splinter like this, it causes so much friction and so much hard feelings that a lot of times in politics, the desired results is not what you get. You get just the opposite. So we'll see how this plays out going forward. Thank y'all, and I appreciate you. And if the Lord says the same, I will see you next Tuesday.